What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another solo leveling Arise video. Alright guys, we're going to be doing an updated tier list, but before I go any further, remember to go support your boy. We are number 2 right now with 2,834 supporters. We just started this off. So first off, I want to say thank you to all my top 10, top 20, top 30, top 40. You guys can see who you are right over here. Painblade's mom, thanks mom. Professor Tech, Travis, NID 1683432, Clicks, T-Pro, etc. Forsaken, Step Bear, a lot of you guys I know, and I get to see you guys on my live stream. So first off, I want to say thank you so much for continuing the support. For many of you, you guys have stuck around for quite some time, and for those new supporters, thank you so much for joining. Remember guys, we have already submitted the brand new mission, so codes are on the way, so don't miss out. This one here is going to give 500 essence stones plus some extra things along the way, so go and click that support button. Remember, this link is in every single video. Go support your boy and let's get up there and make sure that you all get your codes and I submit my missions to make sure you do so. And you know me, I'm always going to have that done every single time. So what we're going to do today, guys, we're going to update a brand new tier list. I know I did one with Harper already, but now Charlotte's in the game. There are a couple changes that we want to make, of course, with the addition of Charlotte. So I'm going to go through this with you guys. Let me add all the characters in, and I'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. So we got ourselves a tier list update to do. I promise you guys I do another one where Charlotte does drop, and it's a good thing we did wait because obviously they've made some changes which will alter the way she functions with her AI, which obviously gives her a better rating from what it would have been if I did it before that. So without further ado, let's go through this. I'm not going to take too long here. We'll try to make this as short as possible, but we're going to start off with the usual things. Again, SRs. Somebody asked me this last year, do you still not test SRs? No, I mean, there's no reason to test SRs because we know I've done all the testing already. I had an SR only account. There have been zero changes to SRs outside of their weapons, and their weapons have not made a big enough impact for most of them to push them up. So these two right here, Park and Kim, are going to continue being there. Sorry, Park and Joe are going to continue being here. They're the two worst characters in the game, in my opinion. They continue to be so. Kim, of course, as usual, has a little bit of a role in some BOTs because he's wind, and he's the only one with a support hard break with a support move if you use Sunjinu. So he's gonna sit there for a little while. Sung is honestly, I'm always back and forth about him. I will put him in C just because he does have some use with normal monsters, especially if you're a brand new player. You will use him, you get him for free, and he does clear ads fairly easily in the beginning, especially when you don't have Emma or anyone with a massive AoE. Brand new players, you're probably going to use him just for, I'd say, a blip of your lifetime, and then you're going to move on. Sung has the other Sung here has a little bit of a role as well too. She actually has decent damage. She has a water unit, plus she has the unrecoverable at 70% or recovery rate down at 70%. So she can be used fairly early on against the spider boss when you're farming. Outside of that, though, realistically, you're never going to use her once you get someone like Cha, but nonetheless, she is available to you if you have her and you plan to use her for any of the spider boss or any goblin that has some form of a recovery rate. Ideally, that's what she's there for, right? And that's the only reason why. All right, next up is going to be Kang. Kang is the first bleed unit we had in the game. Unfortunately, bleed started becoming more and more unusable because, or less than usable, whichever way you want to put it, because most mobs are now immune to it. But he does have some pretty cool things, like he does damage reduction down and a couple other features, and he's pretty fast attacker, so he's not a bad SR by any means. He was much higher rated before when bleed was a more functioning debuff. Now it's just not. Joe He is also one of the units that was really bad until we started doing raids and MP started becoming an issue. She does actually give you a little bit of attack up. She does give you healing and MP recovery, so she's probably this, I would say, right over here. And then we have the 3 breakers here. We have Kim, Jinho. Where is Jinho? There he is. And I would even say Hangsuk is probably, I'd say, right over here between the two of them. But all 3 of these breakers are phenomenal SR breakers, believe it or not. Very useful early game on. I would even say maybe mid game you could probably use them as well too, until you get a really strong breaker like Gun He or Harper. But until then, these guys will probably carry your break team, and still phenomenal in a lot of the bots. So bots is a Battlefield of Time, by the way, if you guys are wondering what I'm referring to, because there's also Battlefield of Trial. So a Battlefield of Time, I'll spell it out next time going forward. So those guys for sure are going to sit there. A couple S units here. for SR. So these three are probably the best SR units in the game for what they do. She does poison plus break plus scales off attack, which is phenomenal. The best SR breaker in the game is going to be Nam, plus with the freeze option. And then Park Hee-jin's going to be one of the most useful characters because she increases your ultimate damage by 15%, also gives you a debuff removal, so giving her the luxury of being one of the only SRs you'll probably see on a lot of people's high-end teams, especially when you're trying to do massive damage with your ultimate. Specifically thinking of like Vulcan runs, etc. Especially now that he's weak to wind, she's a phenomenal unit to have on your team if you don't have someone like Alicia to back you up, right? So that's going to be your full SR group there. Now we're going to move over to SSRs. Unfortunately, Lim is going to be over here now. He's just not doing very well. Dung Poo is, honestly, I would even put him right here, but he is an SR, so we will put him over here. Or sorry, he's an SSR, I mean. So we'll put him right there. He's probably the worst SSR in the game right now. Needs a lot of love. And then speaking of the ultimate hunter and needs a lot of love, Choi unfortunately continues to sit in the S. Still not super bad, but also not good at all. When it comes down to SSR damage, they just need to do one thing and one thing only. I keep saying this every single time I put him on this tier list. Give him the ability to crit, and he will skyrocket in regards to where he is. He probably set on SSS, to be honest with you, the moment you get him that crit ability, or I don't know, triple his attack. I have no idea how to even solve this problem at this point outside of giving him crit, but I know that kind of diminishes his full effect in regards to where he sits, all right? Now, let's go into the SS. SM Beck has gotten much better now. We have compared him to Charlotte, someone like Charlotte as well, too, at the same advancements. He actually can keep up quite well, so we're going to put him there. Yuseyun, unfortunately, just continues to drop because there's just no content for her, which kind of sucks. She's great at POD, and actually not bad at Guild Boss, but overall, you're not really going to use her that much. So she kind of sits there. Wu is probably one of the best breakers in the game, but unfortunately is really dedicated to win teams to make them much better with his weapon, obviously. Beck, I would say, continues to be low-end SS. You know what? Beck's probably even here as well, too. Let's just be real. He's just so goddamn slow, man. Beck is super, super slow. I'm going to put Beck right over here above Lim just because. Sa has been dropping as well, unfortunately, just because of the other breakers that have come out. And even overall DPS, she's just very squishy in comparison to the rest. Even with the shield, you put her in the Guild Boss, you put her in anywhere that really matters, she'll still do very good damage. Unfortunately, in comparison to some of the better breakers out there now, because you have to start comparing, she just doesn't stand a chance in regards to some of the things that they provide. Unless it's Water Day, then she's much better. She does really, really, really require her A5 weapon to really shine, especially in the damage department, okay? Lee Bora right here. Honestly, Lee Bora is starting to get even higher and higher now in the requirement list because of Dark being so important now, especially with the upcoming. But for now, she really does scale mostly because of her charm and because of her weapon. So if you don't have the weapon, you kind of lose a lot of her usability. If you do have the weapon and charm, she kind of can go up to SSS and sit there at the lowest end tier, but that's unfortunately how it works. And same with Min. I'd say Min could still be triple S. The only problem with Min is because his disguise not being usable in a lot of the content. Disguise essentially gives you the ability to have the crit damage increase from his ultimate, also the 15% rather than the 5% punishment bonus in damage. Because he can't do it in a lot of the raids, and I have to consider that now, he is starting to lose a lot of his flair and charm. So I think still right there. And you know what, quite honestly, I'm going to throw Emma in here this time too. I'm just not finding enough use for her currently, especially now that they've updated BOT and how BOT works, so Battlefield of Time. Now that it's so elemental based, it's not really giving them, like, Emma was number one for BOT for the longest time. Now it's just like she's good for the challenge mode, but not the actual bosses, just because the bosses require so much of the elemental interference, and unfortunately puts a damper on the whole thing, right? So keep that in mind when you're building this. Now, let's go over the top tier units. Okay, we've now covered all of the SS. These are the ones that are left. So let's be real. We're gonna start off with Hans. Actually, I'm gonna put Hansi Mei down here as well. I don't think Hansi Mei is top tier anymore. I did for a little while, and then I started using her more and more. She's great for the Guild Boss specifically, but overall, she just needs an update. She does need an update. She's just not that good. Sorry, I had her here as well too. She'd probably be like right over here-ish. I wouldn't even do this, to be honest, right there. This maybe even. There you go. I think that makes more sense. There we are. So this now leaves the top tier units right there. Sorry guys, I forgot all about her. So let's go in order here. This is going to be interesting. So we're going to put Choff here. We're going to put Alicia here. We're going to put all of them here. Okay, we're going to go over this fairly quickly. And but we're gonna be a little bit more specific on how we do this. So, Meilin, best buffer in the game at A5, in my opinion, right now. Really the MVP of all PODs and guild boss runs for me personally when it comes down to buffing. So, is she required? Not necessarily. Is she gonna boost everything? Yes, she will. Removal of shield, the core damage increase, the attack increase, everything that she offers you, the heals, etc. I'd say she's easily the best buffer in the game right now. I've been saying that for a very long time, as a matter of fact. Actually, a lot of people were thinking I'm crazy, but it's the truth. She just is. You put her on any team, she maximizes the damage they do, like, substantially when it comes down to it. You go check out any guild bosses, you'll notice that, okay? Now, here is going to be interesting. So, Cha still holds a lot of weight, but unfortunately, Cha is now reliant on Gun He and his light weapon to really shine. So, if you put her on by herself, she still does fairly well, but she won't do anywhere near as well without Gun He. So, I'd say she's over here. I'm going to put Alicia right there. I'm going to put Harper here. Okay, Harper will be next. Probably second best breaker in the game. Great damage. Has an amazing paralyze, which stuns and keeps the opponent down for 3 seconds. Really, really good utility. And Almighty Stun or Almighty Break on her second skill. So very, very cool. Kit, unfortunately, little child who has the stupidest animations ever with the giant hammer. So I'm not taking that away from her tier list, by the way. Just saying, hate the animations. Okay, so there you guys go. So she'll be right there. And then I think what's going to end up happening here, guys, is the following. So it's going to go Gun He number 1, Mirai number 2, Alicia number 3, and then Charlotte number 4. So the reason why it's going to go this way, and I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. So Gun He's number 1 for multiple reasons. Number 1, fastest breaker still in the game. All right. Number 2, defense spec is a tank, can barely ever die. Insane shield, has very, very strong weapon, can make all light damage do insane amounts of damage. Not to mention, he scales off of defense and is a fast attacker. So, in my opinion, you put him on any team, he's just going to shine. Best unit in the game right now, by far. Not by far, by a little bit. Now, where these two kind of come into play, and the reason why I would put them, you know what, I'd even do this right there. Let's just do that. I think this is more fair, and I'll explain the reason why. So the reason why these three are together and in this category is because they all scale off attack. Now, the importance of scaling off attack is the attack units get the expert set, okay? So while the expert set exists, no matter how good these defensive units are outside of Gun He, the only exception I'd say, they're always going to out DPS everybody else for the most part. The only one I could really see as a difference would be these two sometimes, right here. Once in a while, I do a little bit of a swap between Cha and Charlotte. And so with Charlotte having the ability to cast her ult every 20 seconds is incredible. She's just too clunky. Even with the AI fix, she's just too clunky. And because she doesn't have the ability to use expert, in my opinion, she's just not as strong as those three DPS right there. And because she is a DPS spec and she's meant to be DPS, for now I'm going to put her as number 5 rather than number 2. And then, of course, now with Harper, kind of sitting here, I put her a second last time, but now that Charlotte is out, she does eclipse Harper in my opinion. And then now that expert is reviewed again, if we're looking at overall categories, these three are still going to outshine Harper and Charlotte together because of that whole expert set thing. So I changed my mind a little bit, rethought my calculations in my tier list, and I think this is still the best result. So there you guys have it, full on tier list with everybody in there. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.